In today's video, we're going to show you some commonly overlooked tips on how you can keep hot air in your home during the winter months and keep that cold air out. A lot of people are thinking about the efficiency of their actual equipment, when in reality, the surrounding area of that equipment, your walls, your ceiling, your windows, those are a lot of areas in which the efficiency drops off because you're losing a lot of heat through those openings. Statistically, by doing these few tricks, you can lower your energy usage by almost 50%, which is amazing. So let's get right into these tips. Number one is if you have an older home that has old windows, I highly recommend that you pick up one of these kits from your local hardware store. And all it is a extra barrier of protection, keeping the cold air outside and your warm air inside. A lot of windows lose so much energy simply because they're not double paned or they're just not very efficient. As you can see right here, this in itself can lower heat loss by 35%. All right, so here's what comes in this kit by Frost King. It comes with 4 individual sheets for normal size windows, 42 by 62. And then we have this double stick tape. So we're gonna start by sticking this to the outside trim of that window. And then we'll take the backing off and stick the sheet to it, and then we'll heat it up. So as you can see, we had new windows installed pretty recently, a couple years ago. These are double paned windows, so they have a lot more heat retention, whereas these ones in the back were the only ones that we left as is. These are original 1921 windows, so they're a cool aesthetic, but they do not insulate very well. So we're going to show you the thermal image of this window. It's currently 38 degrees outside, and we're going to show you what the temperature is here. Before we put this tape on, we'll show you the procedure of installing the tape, and then we'll show you what it looks like after and what the temperature reading is. So as you can see, it's 38 degrees on both of these windows in our thermal image. No surprise, it's 38 degrees outside, so naturally that's going to be about the same. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to put this double stick adhesive on. I was going through and removing the backing as I went, so this is just one single piece of adhesive. So we're just going to go all the way around the window. And next what we're going to do is we're going to take our plastic here and we're going to stick the top to the adhesive, and then pull this flat, and we're going to stick the bottom, and then we'll move on to the sides, and we're going to make sure that the sides are nice and tight and that there's not a bunch of wrinkles in this material. Next, we're just going to press all the way around this window and make sure that that film is adhered really well. The last thing we're going to do is we're just going to cut off the excess with our razor knife. And you pretty much can't even tell that this film is there once you trim all the excess off. And last but not least, we're just gonna go through and remove any residual wrinkles. You can get pretty close with a hairdryer and that will remove any wrinkles. And here we have our finished product. Again, you can hardly tell that this had anything done to it. So let's do our thermal image next, and we'll show you compared to this other one. So as you can see, our left window is showing 43 degrees and the right one here is about 36. So several degrees difference. Now here's the really cool thing. I did another thermal image from the outside, and the window that we sealed is actually 10 degrees cooler, meaning that warm air is not able to get to the glass, so it's staying cold. Versus this left window, which is 10 degrees warmer, meaning we're losing a lot of heat out of that left window because it's not sealed off. So if you have older windows, this can make a huge difference in your energy consumption, especially during the winter months. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is caulking any areas that have air coming in. Now, the most common area that this happens is around the window trim. A lot of carpenters or builders who are putting this up quickly, they'll seal the inside area of that window trim, but they will not seal the outside. And that's the part that actually can go through if they didn't foam around the actual rough end of the window, and you can get cold air coming in through the outside of that window trim. So I highly advise picking up a tube or two. This is like less than $5 for a tube of clear caulking. If you don't want to have to worry about painting, you can use clear, or you can use white, and you can use a wet rag that will really clean up that caulk as you go along. All right, so I'm gonna show you how easy this is to do. I used to be a handyman and did a lot of carpentry and trim work and stuff, and I never will do any caulk work without a wet rag. This is critical. So no matter how sloppy you are, you can clean it up very easy. As you can see, you want the water cleanup version. Okay, so we're just gonna start in the corner here. Just gonna pull our gun down as we go. Just like that. So even though this is a bit sloppy, what I like to do first is I'll just go over it with my hand. Then I'll grab my rag, just do a few passes, and that will make a nice clean look there. And that's literally all it takes. So we're just gonna do this on all 4 sides, including this bottom edge here. That can definitely cause air to leak in the summer as well as the winter months. Now for the clear, you're gonna basically do the same exact thing we just did on this piece of trim, except note that this caulking will probably go on white. Don't be confused, even though it says clear, it will dry clear. Now another area I wanna talk about is around your outlets. Now they make these little foam inserts that you can get on Amazon. I'll make sure and leave them in the video description, but they simply sandwich between the wall outlet cover and the wall. And it basically seals that completely to where on any exterior walls, you're not having any air coming in through the studs and into your home. Now with that being said, I wanna talk about something that's really critical, but can also be a little bit more of an upfront expense. It doesn't really fall into this cheap category, but it's insulation. So that is absolutely critical when you think about how much heat loss you have in your home. Our home was built in 1921, and so there was literally like nothing in the walls. It was just plaster and then the exterior sheeting, and there was just a 4-inch air void. So what we actually had done is we had a company come in and do spray foam insulation in all of the exterior walls of our home. The price of that was about $3,500, but we saw a huge increase not only in efficiency of keeping the heat and cool in depending on the season, but we also saw a huge decrease in noise levels of stuff going around in our neighborhood, vehicles passing by. In the garage, you can tell a huge difference compared to in our home. There's just way less noise going on. So if that's in your budget, I highly recommend that you do spray foam insulation and just have a company come out and give you an estimate for that. Now, while we're on the topic of insulation, I want to talk about another area that's critical, and that is in your attic. Now, we had some super old, probably original fiberglass insulation in our attic. We ripped all of that out, and we actually did all of this ourselves, so we saved a ton of money doing it. But we got this cellulose blow-in insulation, and we rented a machine for a day. We blew all of this insulation in, and in fact, over the years, that insulation has settled a little bit, so I'm gonna do another layer of insulation, probably this spring. But to have the best insulative value, or R38 value in your attic, you wanna have about 10 to 14 inches of that insulation after you're done filling it in, and you want it to be pretty even across the board. But that is something that we really didn't spend a ton of money on, and again, it made a huge difference in keeping the heat in our home. Now this is something else I want to talk about. As you can see in the thermal imaging view right here, there's a lot of cold air coming in around my door, and this is a relatively new piece, but as you can see, it's supposed to be like this, and this piece has come out. So if your weather stripping is not installed properly, or it's damaged, or if you just don't have this latch set up correctly, you might need to actually pull this in, adjust it in to where the door is really snug against this. So those are something you need to keep in mind when it comes to any of your entry doors or exterior doors. Something else that you can check too is if there's a gap here, that's obviously a huge area where where air can get through. And that's the whole point of these adjustments. So you can loosen these or tighten them, and that will pull up this and create a tighter seal there. So that's another adjustment that you might be able to make. Well guys, if you're looking to save money by using less energy this winter, I hope that these tips will be beneficial for you. Like I said in the beginning of the video, these tips can save you up to 50% in your energy consumption, which is huge. Insulating and sealing your home is a big deal when it comes to our HVAC system. Now, if you're interested in some tips on how you can maintain your equipment and how you can be aware of what signs to look for instead of getting taken advantage of by an HVAC company, check out this video right here, and we're gonna show you how you can maintain your equipment and keep it going as long as possible. Until next time, you guys be safe. Later.